Change their life based on change their life their movie ticket. So I mean, I think it's just you can be fearful, you can have
Watch this
questions,
Biden
but
stream it on my
do your
YouTube.
due diligence and figure out what is best for you.
I want to hear him say
And
this ridiculous
like I
bullshit
said
again.
earlier, if this is a part of or a major key of what's going to help us move past this and to go back to being able to live normally, I feel like we should do it. It's no harm in it.
I'm live streaming it on my
we've
YouTube
been able
channel.
to
I can talk about it.
increase the supply.
He just
States.
said again that
Just
black,
in a month we've
the
been
black
here by
community
57%.
doesn't know how to use the internet.
57% more vaccine than before, and we're going to, God willing, we're going to be in a position where we can significantly increase that as well. So that, and the other thing is,
I've been doing live videos.
Set up, and we've made another federal decision saying that we were going to use community health facilities, which usually take care of the folks who are the most in need. And because they know where, I'm not being facetious when I say this, they know where the people sleeping under the bridge are. They know where people who are really in
They know where the people sleeping under the bridge are.
Out to get them vaccinated. And so we're hoping that this helps. In addition, one of the things we're going to be able to do is part of this investment is $20 billion in the national vaccination program. As you know, the funding helps deploy community vaccinators, vaccination centers. You're one of them. You're in the community. That's why, but some of the governors were not sure that's the way to go, and I'm not picking any governor, I really mean it. They didn't understand why we made the independent decision to send vaccine directly to 667 different drug chains or drug stores out there. Why we send it directly to them, and they weren't sure why we were sending directly to child care facilities. That's what we're going to try to do now, and so because they thought they could better decide where to use it. But I am determined to make sure we service the communities that are the ones that are the most victimized, wrong word, most affected by the COVID virus when they get it and the consequences of it. But I thank you for all you do, and I really mean it, and for going to those long-term care facilities and helping there as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Mr. President, our third participant, as you know, is Carmen Palmer. Carmen is a child care worker in Columbus, Ohio. But I say child care worker, but that really doesn't do it justice. She does almost everything there is to do.
That's what I read.
She runs the food program at the child care center. She's a substitute teacher. She's a bus driver when needed. And she's also the mother of two of her own young children. So, Carmen, we'd love to hear your story.
You obviously have a lot of
get
spare
people
time.
that drop in and out, but
Of course. I just, wanted to say, thank you, President Biden and Ambassador Rice for, speaking with me and giving me this opportunity. I do appreciate that. Again, I'm Carmen Palmer, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I grew up in foster care, and after graduating high school, that's when I decided, for a better environment, and I moved to Ohio, and that's where I found my home here at Kitty Academy. I've been working here 5 years, and as Ambassador Rice mentioned, my two children both attend the child care
So you're
center.
gonna have more viewers.
I started working there as a college teacher, and I was offered to share my skills in the kitchen.
Yeah, I don't know.
The kids would call me the school chef.
Maybe. Might just be really, it probably has a lot to do with just who you follow,
and I thought that was
who you
rewarding,
subscribe
just
to,
combine,
and your interests.
my love for cooking and children. And my role is to ensure not only 0 to 5 children eat, but our school leaders as well. I love providing them for nutritious meals because I, know what it's like not to, eat or know where my next meal is coming from, especially growing up in foster care. I'm a single mother, and COVID has exposed not only the flaws in the childcare system, but how frail my personal situation is. I work every single day, during the pandemic. I have not missed one day to try to take care of our families and our children who, need care. And me personally, if I was to get COVID or my kids to get COVID, I have no other options. I am one of the only states that has not prioritized childcare for the vaccine. And that's concerning to me because, once again, I work every single day in the pandemic. And I'm an essential worker and I'm taking care of essential workers' kids. So, and as a parent, I want to make sure I have childcare and childcare that is safe. My Behanes have installed ionizers, to improve our ventilation system. And I can only assume that it's working. We provide masks for, our staff. We are washing our hands. We social distance. We do temperature checks. But, it's hard for the kids because they're used to I want to go play with my friends. We're like, no, you have to social distance. We have to keep our distance. It's hard keeping the younger kids to keep their mask up, to protect themselves. So, and
I really just
our
want
enrollment is
to
down,
be able to
and we
save
are
this
seeing
video
less
to
of
pull
our
it on
families because of the pandemic.
pull it up later to do a commentary.
And, they're losing their jobs. And
Yes.
I'm just really grateful that
There's a video of him in a town hall where this little girl asked him about COVID, and he said that she did not have to worry about it because she couldn't pass it to her parents, and her parents couldn't pass it to her.
Look,
So she had nothing to worry about. And like, then why are the schools closed?
this legislation, which we
I'm
think
like,
is going to pass,
what the fuck?
is going to help child care providers by allowing you to pay the rent, pay your utilities, payroll if there is one, beyond you as a loan, as well as increase costs associated with the pandemic. And those costs include PPE, you mentioned ventilation, paying for ventilation improvement, small group sizes, modifications to make the environment inside safer. We're also temporarily going to increase the child care tax credit. Right now, if you make over a certain amount of money, you will get a tax credit of $2,000 now. We're going to raise that to $3,000. $600 for a child under the age of 6, and make it refundable, which is the big deal. Because if you're not making a lot of money and not paying taxes, you may have 2 or 3 kids. You don't get any help at all. But now what will happen is, if this passes, they will get a refundable credit for each child. If they're under 6, $3,600 check from the federal government. And the same thing for the $2,000 and so on. So if they say we'll cut, if we get this done, we'll cut child poverty in half. But in addition to that, we'll provide those parents with access to not only your daycare center, but others across the country to be able to afford it. And we're also making sure that we provide money for folks who are about to be thrown out of their homes. Or there's millions of people out there who can't pay the rent. And so we've deferred any cost to have to pay the rent while this pandemic is going on, because otherwise we'd be vastly increasing the homeless population, which makes no sense. And we know how important early childhood education and child development is. And to get through this crisis, I think we need to ensure child care providers have the funding they need to stay afloat. And you mentioned something, Carmen, that is really important. Most of these kids you've been taking care of, if they were going to kindergarten or preschool, they'd be getting a free lunch program. Well,
yes.
We got to increase the amount of money available for what used to be called the food stamp program, but is not now. But we got to make it available, because did you ever think you'd see in one of in your hometown where you'd see miles of cars lined up in multiple lanes waiting for one box of food? This is the United States of America, for God's sake. And the idea there's that much food insecurity is just not right. So I believe if we get this bill passed, which we're not going to pass by a lot, but we're optimistic. We're going to some real changes, and the child care centers are risk of closing all around the country. And what impact would it have? And the last question I'll ask: if you had to shut down, what do you think it would do to the children and the parents that now are your clients?
I mean, it will have a tremendous impact on our families. Our families are, telling us now that they can't work, and it's definitely hard to find childcare if you don't have any employment. And even me as myself, I honestly would know what I could do if I didn't have childcare, so I could go to work, because I have no family here. All my family is back home in Michigan.
Okay, kiddo, keep doing what you're doing. You're really, as my mom would say, you're doing God's work, kid.
Thank you, Mr.
Doing God's work.
Carmen is also the only one with young kids in school, and I thought it might be worth just asking her to say a few words about how her kids have fared in the pandemic with the virtual schooling and then now hybrid schooling.
Are you able to take them to the daycare for the hybrid?
Hybrid
school?
school.
Yes,
So if you're
yes, I am.
watching,
I
if you're
actually
watching
made
this
the
guy,
Ambassador
let me
Rice
mute my
yesterday on saying,
thing.
I really fear
Hold
for
on.
my.
I tried to get on here before it went, before I missed out. I was a little late, but I'm just really surprised that Biden just continuously gets away with saying on a national platform that the black community doesn't know how to use the internet. Like he said it right before I started this stream again, that they don't know how to get on a phone or a computer and use the internet. And I just don't see how that's okay. I don't understand. How is that okay? Like what he said the other day, he said rural areas and inner city areas. So basically, if you don't live in the suburbs, you don't know how to use a computer. And that's crazy. It's nuts. It's unbelievable that he keeps getting away with this. And he just sits there and talks about it. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. This is happening. It's almost like they just don't even pay attention to what he's talking about. Like he's out here just saying he's going to help people. This is going to help them. Let me tell you, Melanie Owens, she looks angry. There ain't nothing about that woman's face that looks like she's happy to be here. Honestly, none of the four people here look happy to be here. I'm being completely honest. Demetrius Alfred, he's got some bad lighting in his house. Can't see him too well, what his facial expression is, but everybody is in this shot, in this product, in the circumstance. They're getting hurt with no fault of their own. Meanwhile, he doesn't want to go to Texas because it might create a long tail. These people over here suffering. I don't know. Dude in the bottom right, though, I don't know who that guy is. I can't see his name because they conveniently positioned a table in front of it. But he looks like he's ready to call some kind of event or tournament, Mr. President. Let's see what he's saying. Who's this dude? You're turning back up.
As I said, my name's Jeff Carter.
Jeff Carter.
I am married to my wife, Kim Carter. We've been married for about 25 years. I do have an older son. His name is Mason. He works as a finance officer in one of the major car dealerships here in Cedar Rapids. I work for Hy-Vee, and Hy-Vee is a grocery store chain. And we have
Come on, Hy-Vee.
As you mentioned, Mr. President, we have.
He said he works for Hy-Vee at the grocery store chain.
Nebraska, Illinois,
Come on
South
now,
Dakota,
we all know what that
Missouri,
really
Kansas,
is.
Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
Hy-Vee,
So
Jacob,
we are-
HIV, HIV,
I know,
Hy-Vee.
but we're a great company, and I really appreciate the opportunity that I have to work for them.
Listen.
Employees, over 88,000 employees.
Yeah.
And during this past year, the pandemic has really challenged us to not only focus on
This kid's going to be named
service to
Social
our customers and our
Distance.
employees, but also servant safety.
Hy-Vee.
Really had
Come
to
on,
shift
bro.
our focus rapidly on how we take care of our customers, how we make sure that they are safe when they come into stores. we were one of the first stores to install plexiglass shields to protect our employees and our customers. We also put directional arrows in on our floors to create social distancing so that people didn't crowd and possibly spread the virus. We also, in my store and all of our stores, we had employees that from the moment we opened till when we closed, all they did was walk around the store and sanitize.
I figured it would have disappeared by now.
And
COVID?
contact
Oh, yeah.
areas
Got
and
way worse.
customers and employees.
Way worse, yeah. So this guy here, he's just saying how honestly, when he said his grocery chain was High V, his grocery store is HIV. This is crazy. Nobody saw that coming. It looks bad logo design, bad branding. But yeah, don't worry. They put tape on the floor to tell you which way to walk in a Publix so that you won't die. That was the most useless thing that people could have done. Tape on the floor. It's ridiculous.
The most ignored sign.
It's the single most ignored sign next to a yield in Atlanta. They're like, cool triangle, bro, pizza this way. Welcome to Atlanta. Red pizza. Just follow the signs. You got to stop. Nah. Blow right through that thing. Ridiculous. Stores. I don't think really the frontline consider. We really consider ourselves frontliners. Residual workers that know we're doing our job. What is he talking about? Listen, they took serious advantage of people who absolutely needed their job during this pandemic and made them keep working. That's what they did. It just made you keep working. They didn't shy away from doing their job because they didn't want to get fired. Oh my God. Honestly, I'm just going to watch every Biden speech because he says the most ridiculous stuff that you could possibly say. I thought Trump was good. Biden, arguably better. Trump said crazy stuff. Biden needs a translator to translate English into English. That's what he's talking about.
Underlying health conditions that might put them at risk of catching the virus, possibly falling very sick or worse.
You see, there was it was on TikTok, but Don Jr. Had a rally where he played something that Biden said, where he goes, they cut the pipeline jobs and they cut the building of the wall and stuff. And he goes, unemployment's raised by 900,000 this month. And he cuts to Don Jr. and he goes, no shit! What'd you think was gonna happen? I was like, this motherfucker is great. It's fucking hilarious.
Into the city and surrounding areas.
It's definitely
trees that were lost. Many homes were damaged. Many of our employees' homes were damaged. But still, I think a lot of their concerns, personal concerns on the back burner, still come in.
Trying to put everything that's going on out there. Because
and during this duration, we also went out to our communities and helped pass out free goods, groceries, and things.
Yeah, no, the COVID passed 500,000 deaths, and then they were like, "Oh no, that's so not good." But Biden has said so many ridiculous things. Like our news doesn't really cover Biden much, right? Mm-hmm. But then, like, get on YouTube and watch some news streams from around the world, and they're calling them out, man. They're calling them out hard. The Australian ones are the funniest ones. Not only that their accent is amazing for saying just about anything, but they were there was an Australian news anchor that I saw yesterday that was he was like, it's clear to me that the leader of the free world has dementia and has had it for some time. I'm like, what? And then they're playing clips of him saying the most ridiculous stuff. And then he says it. And it's like he can't even deny he says it. But for real, Melanie Owens, dude, that is like, she looks like she just found out her husband isn't working overtime, but says he clocked out at 8 o'clock tonight. And she's at home waiting for his ass to come home right now. That's what she looked like. Look at that. Oh, she's so angry. Carmen's just here. I don't know.
What is
I don't know what Carmen's feeling right now. Demetrius Alfred, he looks like he's got 10 minutes to get out of this house before the homeowner gets home. That's what he looks like right
What is
now.
this like? Oh, I guess he's just covering Black History. Or
Yeah, he's honoring our histories. So he's talking to people in the Black community about, I guess, COVID and how it's affected their lives or something. I don't know. I didn't see the whole breakdown of what the town hall is about, but we can Google it real quick. Biden virtual town hall. And see what he's actually talking about. He's talking about unemployment and issues facing working families. That was one of them. Town hall today. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really see much pulling up on that. You know, they just keep them hidden away, man. I don't know. I really am interested to hear what Melanie has to say because she is biding her time to talk, but her face, bro, she looks like she's got some shit to talk about right now. For real. I just cannot wait to hear it and what he's going to say when it comes up. All right, I'm going to mute myself here and turn him back on.
We are ready to help. Once again, I very much appreciate this opportunity. It's like a dream come true, something I'll cherish.
Damn, a dream come true to talk to an old white dude.
And I'll probably watch this video over and over again. So.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much.
He'll watch it over and over again.
And me to be able to talk to you. Look, one of the things that the ambassador and I made a decision early on to quote Franklin Roosevelt, I'm going to give it to you straight from the shoulder. I'm not going to play games. I'll tell you when we do it right, and I'll tell you when we screwed up, and tell you when we take responsibility. That's what I think all of you are doing. You're giving it straight to the people you're working with, the people you're trying to help. And we spent much too much time ignoring this. One of the things you've all mentioned is the PPE, the protective gear, and social distancing. And I know that Melanie knows this as a pharmacist, and all of you know it from your experience, that the way we can save, we could have saved literally an awful lot of lives if people had listened. We turned wearing masks into a political statement. If you were this thing, you wore it. You were for somebody else, you didn't wear it. When in fact, it's just plain basic science. Science. Social distancing, so you're not coughing on one another. The particles, the ventilation you talked about, Carmen, makes a difference in community centers and the like. And so there's so many things that we can do that are just within our own power. We're probably going to be sending out an awful lot of masks around the country very shortly, millions of them. But the point is,
What do you mean more than millions of masks, bro?
You all, without my asking you, talked about
what's millions of masks can do around the country?
It's kind of hard to social distance.
5 million people in downtown Atlanta.
It's kind of hard to social distance with an EMT in the back of a wagon, but you all know it's important. And so I hope you'll. I had said when I got elected that my first 100 days, I guarantee people we get at least 100 million shots in people's arms. 100 million shots in people's arms. And 30 days in, we're about 40% of the way there. What do we have? 47, almost 50 million right now. And we said we're going to do 1 million shots a day. One of the things that you and Melanie know is that we had to get vaccinated. One thing to get vaccine delivered.
Yeah, hello?
One thing to get it out of that vial into a needle into somebody's arm.
That's me.
And so we worked very hard. We've probably gotten another close to 4,000 people who get vaccinations, from National Guard to the Defense Department to others, and to units within commercial operations that can have people who can do the vaccination. I've signed an
Yes.
executive order allowing former retired doctors and nurses to be able to come back and give vaccinations. And so we're going to beat this thing.
Yeah, I signed up for one of them.
And the extent you can continue to have your
I
constituencies,
wasn't able to watch it. I've just been too
is
busy.
to make sure that
Other
they
stuff
understand
happening.
that social distancing matters, washing your hands matters, and the whole idea. And I don't have to tell you that, Al. You know, you had two kids affected,
Yeah,
right?
I've had some ups and downs
Yes, sir.
with it.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean,
They got through it pretty good. We're blessed.
Well, thank
Hold on.
God. So,
I've had to replace some
but
parts in
one of
it and
the
do some
things
service
that,
on it pretty regularly.
you know, again, I'm going to go back to the whole question of equity. What we're trying to do, my team and
I did before,
is
yeah.
get
I mean, at this
people
point, I pretty much just service
who,
it
in
myself.
fact, have been most hurt by this pandemic to places where they are comfortable, where they have comfort in going. They don't feel like they're not intimidated by the circumstance. And they're usually, they're used
Right
to
now
going
it's
to
pretty
their
slow,
grocery store.
actually.
They're used to going to their
Slower than I would
drugstore
prefer.
or pharmacy. They're used to
I
doing
mean, you
those
know,
things.
holidays are gone.
But we also are trying to get out mobile units into communities, not only inner city, but rural communities that don't have as much access. You know, I guess they tell me the statistic is that the vast majority of the American people live within 5 miles of a pharmacy. Well, the point is that may be the case, but if you're an older person living by yourself, don't have a vehicle, and there's no public transportation, it's awful hard to get to that pharmacy. So we're working out ways now to provide mobile transportation, literally vans going into communities and people, you know, getting shots that are being administered by people who people tend to trust. So I'm glad. I can't tell you how much difference you're making. We've met with people all over the country via this means, and I think there's a growing awareness that you know, injecting bleach into your system doesn't do it for you. I'm being, you know, I mean, think
This
about
dude just
all
said
the,
injecting
all the
bleach
ridiculous things. And
into your
there
system.
is online still.
Nobody's ever done that.
Those who are
It's a joke.
the, you know,
What are you talking about?
deniers, and telling all these stories about that aren't true.
How about your
So,
stories?
I
You just
really
told this little
appreciate
girl that
you
she can't
and
get
your
COVID and give it to her
colleagues,
parents.
across the country.
She has nothing to
who are
worry about.
Continuing to push and say, no, if you can get a
So
vaccine,
crazy.
get it. If you can get it as quickly as you can.
Get the vaccine
Socially
quickly,
distanced.
immediately.
We're now doing a study.
That's what he wants you to do.
They're studying whether or not, once you've had the vaccine and you've had it for the better part of several weeks, your last shot, what can you do and not do?
I mean, what can you do and not do?
Sure that you are safe. Do you still
What?
wear a mask? Still.
So you get the vaccine, you get a couple shots, and then they're trying to figure out if you can go out there and freaking lick bowling balls.
I think science matters.
Science this guy.
And it
Can't
has to
this
be
guy.
available to the poorest among us and those who are most hurt by this COVID crisis across the board. And that's what we're doing. Do you have any questions for me? Seriously, ask me anything you'd like. I can tell Carmen's had a good question. I don't know if she's not sure. Should I really ask him that?
She's not going to say anything, Melanie, is she?
I'm just Joe.
Did I miss it?
So
Maybe I
fire
missed
away.
it.
You have a question?
When are you coming to see us in Columbus?
Well, I'm going to be back in Columbus. I was in Columbus, actually now it's about literally 35 days or so ago. I came through on a whistle stop, the train, when I was trying to get the nomination, when I was trying to win the election. But I like Columbus, and I'm a Democrat, but I think your governor's doing a pretty decent job of trying to get things going. I don't think there's anything political about this.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely political.
He stepped up, in my impression. We disagree on things, and we used to serve together. I like him, but it's not I just think this is about the science. But when I come back, if you see me, you better not say Joe Who, okay? Who is that? Joe Who? What was that guy's name? Well, I tell you what, I hope we can get to the point. that's happened. Now, the one thing I get most asked is when it's going to go back to normal. The honest to God truth is I can't tell you that, but most experts tell you that things are going to continue to change and change somewhat rapidly. I think you're going to see that next fall it's going to be different than last fall. I think you're going to see that we're going to be going into the Christmas season better than we were. Whether
Next fall is going to be different than last fall.
But we're going to
Sure.
beat this. I promise you, we are going to together beat this. And I think that but the idea that over 500, I think it's, I have a card, I carry a card with me every day. A whole number of folks who have been affected by the
Bro, he just picked that up on his way in. It's probably a
yesterday.
freaking pamphlet
There
to
are 500,071 people who died from this.
it's a pamphlet to
500.
blimpies.
That's more people that died in World War I, World War II, and Vietnam combined. In a year. But
That's
look,
inaccurate,
American
dude.
people set their minds on
He said
something.
575,000 Americans. That's more people combined dead than World War I, World War II, and Vietnam.
So darn many, we look at all the stuff that's, I don't know, bad or disappointing.
World War
II,
darn
and
many
Vietnam.
decent
All three wars combined.
Like
They want to get their
Americans. Yeah.
So, in the meantime,
I don't know.
Make
We
me one
lost some
promise.
people in Vietnam. I don't know.
we'll all take care of
I'm
yourself.
about to Google that. That seems, I don't know.
Vietnam.
Lost a lot of people died in World War
Thank
II.
you all. Thank you for your time and your sharing your thoughts. It's wonderful to be
I
with
believe
you.
that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. President.
You have
Yeah,
enough
because we lost the
calls
most men in
anytime. I really
Vietnam.
mean it. Not a joke.
They know how to
We
find
lost
me now. So
Just under, just shy of 50,000.
We have your email, I think.
But believe me, she knows how to find me. Joe, where are you? Here.
Mr. President, that's it.
Well,
Yeah, she would have to knock on the door, Joe, because she's black, doesn't know how to use a computer, according to you.
Thank you.
Or a phone, apparently.
Take care.
So you would have to knock on the door. Dude, Biden says the most racist crap. Leave the mic on. Let me hear what this dumbass says. Come on. Oh! Hurting my feelings. What's he doing? He's going to put his mask on. They're going to cut from there, aren't they? They're going to cut it short. Damn. I'm going to have to watch the beginning of that one and see what kind of gold was in the beginning of it. So I really wish I would have saw the other woman stream it, but we'll come back. I'll check that out later.